Welcome back to the table, everyone. It's another game system, another set of models, and you might say, Eddie, you almost sound sad over that. Well, I realized today I have a gaming problem. But with a gaming problem comes new things to look at. So let's look at the new thing. So this is a new thing to me. I've actually seen quite a few videos now on the YouTube where people are opening up Battle for the Pacific. They're looking at Victory at Sea. And I myself am playing a lot of naval war games lately, and I have miniatures and stuff. But I don't have these. So this is my jump in here. Now, let's take a look at what we got. And I'll share some ideas why in a little bit. For now, let's just take a look because some people might want to get to the box here. I kind of pre-cut that. So in here you get your book, 32-page Battle of the Pacific Rules Manual. There's a Battle of the Pacific punch board, 15 Warlord resin model ships, including the Indianapolis, Northampton, Chicago, Mogami, Kumano, Hurutaka, Fubuki-class destroyers, Fletcher-class destroyers, ship cards, blue 10-sided dice times 4. There's 12 white dice, an A0 C mat, 2 mats, damage sliders, Warlord resin information leaflet. Alright, pulled the shrink wrap and the thing just poof, popped up. So there's some sample pictures of the ships there. Yeah. So ships, your maps, you can put 2 there together, which when you're playing with 1800 scale, they're big. So you're going to need, I would think, rather large playing surface. I think I've seen this on YouTube, people playing on 1 map, but I think really to shine at this scale, the bigger your table space, the better. I think the rules, well, we'll look. I'm just going off specification, or let's see, I'm going off of guesses here at this point, but some of the scenarios might say, you know, play on 1 map. Just so you start close so you can get used to the idea of the rules and you shoot each other right away. But I'll talk on that in a minute. I know some of you, maybe you haven't seen this yet. I think most people that follow naval wargaming have probably already looked at this. So I'm going to share my thoughts and ideas here at the end, but let's see what's in here now. Alright, so Victory at Sea. World of Warships Premium Rewards Code. As long as it's for new people, I'll give you the code. See, this says invite code. Let me look here real fast. How to redeem. Go here, submit the invite code, enter your new account details, accept the EULA. I'm a little disappointed because what about people who already play? I really don't want to open. I have 2 accounts and I've spent money on both. I'm bad. But this has nothing for existing. So here you go. First person to use that. Looks like you get some premium time. Looks like some crates, flags. I really don't know what you get here, but there must be something good. So redeem it, use it, enjoy it. Oh man, I probably should have gave that to one of my friends. But there it is. You are all my friends. So if you use that code, knock yourself out. If you do use that code, let me know. Alright, here's your dice. It said blue dice. It specifically said you get blue dice. I hope that's not a problem. Because unless I've just suddenly really become colorblind, those look red, not blue. And I don't know if that's 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Did it say 12? I think it said 12. For some reason I was thinking 20. It does say 12. But it does say blue dice. Well, okay. There's my blue dice. Here's the ships. Well, I'm going to look at ships. I'm looking at ships last simply because let's save the best for last. Alright, so what do we got here? Warlord Games. Welcome. Painting guides, battle reports. I'll check it out. T-15 Technology Wing. Oh, is that where they're located? Ooh, okay. But I'll check it out because I might want some painting guides for these ships. The resin kits. Briefly washed in warm water with a dab of washing up liquid to remove any oily remains of the release agent. Well, that makes sense. This mold is then stripped by hand and the feeder sprues cut off. This will mean that your model may need little cleaning up. We'll look at it. Alright, so there's my little how to handle your resin. Clean it. Who packed my blue dice? Not shaming anybody, but somehow when I see people unbox a Warlord box, they always thank the person who packed it. Marilla, I hope that's pronounced correctly. I might email Marilla and say, why are my blue dice red? I don't think it goes to her directly, but hey, 10-sided dice are 10-sided dice. So thank you for packing my pocket. Thank you for packing my box. English. Alright, so here are your ship cards, your damage trackers. I'm not sure what the black ones. I guess they could be used for other stuff. I'm going to open this up a little bit. Let's look at the ship data cards. I was playing a game today, Star Wars Armada. They have ship data cards and a whole bunch of stuff. But these ship data cards, looks like everything is right here. It's nice. I don't have like 20 cards to represent my one vessel. It's all right here. So we've got the hit points, 20. I don't know how many this has. I'd have to look, but this would let me track up to 29 hit points if I had to. And then as you take damage, you just take the little slider. I know some people complain about these. I think they're fine. I mean, nothing's perfect. Nothing says you have to do this method. You can come up with all kinds of ways to track damage. You know, but I don't have a problem with it. I think it's fine. It works. And they slid in here pretty good. There you go. It's covering the 20. I think you could probably, the idea was you could do it this way and see the number. Haha, that works better. There you go. So I see that's 20. And then I got one more I put down here. It works. But I think these are good. Let me just bring you in. Alright, there you go. Portland class cruiser. Your points cost. Flank speed. There's speed 6 inches. Armor 3+. Hull. Traits. Oh, 4 aircraft. Nice. Probably spotter planes and whatnot. Your turrets. 3. I guess these are 3-barreled 8-inch. 3 barrels of 8-inch. And then on the back side, 3 barrels of 8-inch. And then you got light guns. I've heard some people talk about, I'm looking at it down here. Some people were talking about this restricted. And I haven't read the rules yet, but when I heard some people talking about it, they were like, well, what does restricted mean? How come you only shoot half? It says there's 8. And, I mean, to me it makes sense because I've played a lot of other games that were way, I would say, a lot heavier on the simulation side of things. And basically, it just simply means that there's 4 of these light guns on the right-hand side and about 4 of these on the left-hand side. And they probably come in turrets, and those turrets can't rotate to shoot through the other side of the ship. So by saying half, it just means that if I've got targets on the port side, like if this was forward, if my targets are over here, those 4 guns shoot at these. And if they're on the starboard side, 4 of those guns are shooting on this side. So I think it's fine. No problem at all. I think it's just because it's on one line. It's like, well, it says 8. Well, how come I can only shoot half? Well, because half are on one side of the ship. I'm okay with that. And let's see, Portland, Hurutaka. Not going to go over every statistic of every one, but torpedoes, let me tell you. I don't know why the Americans did not stick torpedoes on everything, and it feels like the Japanese did. They're missing out. Since I was playing that Tokyo Express board game, some of these ships are in there. So it was like, man, I could almost, if I buy just the right ships, I could play Tokyo Express with these ships using these rules. Oh, a couple Mogamis. Now, are they different Mogamis or the same Mogami? I'll have to look, because maybe, possibly, I got duplicates. Yeah, there's like 2 Mogamis, 2 Northamptons. It's this... Yeah, call me silly. I'll have to look. I'm not sure why there's 2 of each. It looks like the same. How many data cards did it say I'm supposed to have? Should be just 16. Let's see. Shipped data cards 15. All right, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Maybe because I've got, oh, yeah, okay. Now it makes sense. All right, so it makes sense now. A lot of games I play, you have one data card, and you know all the Mogami class heavy cruisers you're playing with have, you know, they use off the same page, but that's because there's two Mogami class heavy cruisers just with different names. Makes sense. So now, you know, you could say, okay, this one is this guy, this one is this one. So, okay, no problem. There are two Mogami class heavy cruisers in the box. There, sorted out. So there's several Fletchers. So there should be 6 Fletchers because there are 6 Fletcher miniatures. See, it all makes sense now. If you take a minute to think, it's all good. There's Hubuki because there's 3 Hubuki class destroyers, 2 Northamptons. What was one of the first ones I did? Portland. So there's 2 Northamptons, 1 Portland, 2 Northamptons, and I thought in here was another Hurutaka. No, it's the Hubuki destroyers, Fletchers. So I only had 1 Hurutaka class and 2 Mogamis. All right, perfect sense now. All right, well, mystery solved. Mystery that didn't exist solved. So I'll set those aside. I'll pop this back up for a minute. All right, let's take a look at the books. All right, I don't want to pass judgment on the book yet, but this is not the full rule book. This is the starter guide. I think maybe this is why I held off on getting this for a while, was to let things pan out and see how it goes. I think these basic rules work for getting you playing and getting you the concepts of the game, but they actually have a much thicker book coming out, which I haven't really investigated much. I figure I'll wait till it's out and see what people think, but it should have a lot more rules. I think some of the reviews I saw for this, especially from simulationist players, is that the game is lacking in detail, and I think some of that might change when the full rules come out. I know sometimes full rule books include hobby portion. It's not all rules, but I think you're going to get some more rules when the full game comes out. This is just a, hey, here's what you need to know to get playing some games. Fine. Cool. And, you know, it works. I haven't played it myself yet, and I'm willing to give it a fair shake. I am willing to give it a fair shake. If you've watched the channel at all, you know I've into some of the more heavy ones like General Quarters 3. I have not personally delved into like Sea Krieg or the Command at Sea kind of harpoon level of complexity. I think General Quarters 3 is the most complex I've played, and I've heard people say that this is very, very light. But this is good. You got aircraft rules, dogfighting. I think this has the basics. Carriers, war at sea. Okay, there's some of your missions you can do. Yep, it's a good starter. I mean, and that's all I would expect from this. A starter to get you going until the full rules come out. Even got them, I don't know how to pronounce that, but I like the Italians. I think Italians have some super slick looking battleships and cruisers. I think Germany probably has some of the prettiest looking ships. Then it would be Italians, and then after that, everybody else. So those are my top nations as far as the visual appeal. I'm sure everybody has their own favorite nation, but those are my top two. Then we got a little assembly guide where some of the bits and pieces go. Cool deal. Carefully remove each component from the frame with clippers or a craft knife and trim off any excess Warlord resin before assembling in a well-ventilated area. Well, that ain't this room. Fit all parts before fixing in place with super glue. Yeah, I'll have to play with the turrets. Part of me does not want to glue down the turrets if possible, but they might be small enough that if I don't want to lose them, I might have to glue them down. something about being able to turn your turrets, and I've never done that before. The other scales I play, you got to glue it all down because they're so small, and that might be the case here. But man, it would be great if I could just leave those so I could turn them. Here's my critical hit reference. Let's see. Italian aircraft. Oh, ship stats. So this is just going to be just a critical hit. I don't know if there's any other tables. I'll have to check and see if there's any QRSs I need to download. I like the diorama pictures that they show in here. I was looking at this and I was like, yeah, these are purpose-built dioramas. Like some of this might be the waves, but they do have some pictures where it looks like torpedoes have been fired, and I'm like, that's got to be a diorama. Nobody is going to purposefully put into their fancy ocean board torpedoes, because you're never going to shoot those torpedoes that way again, and there's got to be cotton or something trailing some of these, because again, on a permanent board, there's no way I would feel comfortable permanently putting in the wake marks behind a ship. So these have got to be some gimmicky cotton things that they put there to follow with this ship, because once that ship moves, that you got a wake trail that won't do any good anymore. So I know I'm criticizing the pictures, but those could be computer generated in too. Could very well be just computer generated into the picture. I know that should be like the last thing I look at, but my mind is drawn to things. Like I'm looking here going, okay, is that supposed to be a cloud, or is any of that a torpedo trail? You know, I'm just looking at stuff. All right, so, oh, what were these? Oh, vital systems. Is that what these are? No, that's on the cardboard there. All right, so anyway, you got your rule book. It's a light rule book, but again, this will get you going. So here's the good thing. This is one reason I picked this up. I have a friend who is a younger gamer, about 21, 22, somewhere in there, and mostly has played things like Warhammer and Star Wars games, which I think is great. That's great. But has been interested in seeing other systems and other games. And my friend and I, who are into heavy simulations, we're talking, you know, it might be a tough jump to go from something that's more of a game to something that's a simulation of historical value, kind of a thing, right? Go from nice sci-fi space fantasy where it's pew pew and whatnot to we're measuring in yards how far certain calibers are getting. Not that I'm a big pencil pusher for that kind of knowledge, but there's got to be something to kind of bridge that gap to bring them from something that's all made up characteristics to something that's based in reality of our world to a simulation. Why would you want to do that? You don't have to. I'm not saying there's wrong with those other things, but since there's a lot of different styles of gaming, it was like, okay, so how do we bridge the gaps? And that's where I see a game like Victory at Sea come in. This is a great way to bridge the gap from maybe more non-traditional war games that are not simulations, and then ease people who want to learn more about the simulation type of games. I think something like this is a great gateway. If you don't go beyond Victory at Sea, and maybe this is perfect what you need for you and your friends to play, easy to pick up, quick to learn, and you're playing. Whereas sometimes those other simulation games take a while to learn. I get that. But we thought, I was like, well, I'm going to get this because I want the ships, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But until that point, this might be a great way to get people thinking about, you know, how can you move on to historical gaming and more of simulation gaming at some point. This might be the perfect kind of gateway. So I'm hoping to play this with my buddy and to get them thinking about historical gaming. Okay, what else comes in the box before we talk about ships? My cardboard is popping. Stop popping out. I don't want you to pop out yet. But there you go. Here's all the tokens. Rearming. Your little steering tools here. Here's one. That's smaller. Maybe that's for destroyers. That one looks bigger. Here's full. I wonder if this it says initiative. I was like, I wonder if this is like the initiative. Who has initiative? It says right there, initiative. Got some smoke. What would be great that I wish they had on here? So for all the cardboard they got, what would have been super awesome is if they had some main gun firing markers that maybe were something like this, but you stick on the side of your ship when it fires, you know, if it's shooting from the port or starboard or both. So you have I fired instead of putting like cotton down. If they had some little cardboard I could punch out and lay it next to the ship and go, oh look, there's a nice visual representation of me firing a broadside. That would be cool. Other than that, yeah, cool. Probably your critical, like some sort of like steering damage, maybe your main weapon malfunctions. So that says specifically you took damage to your rudder, magazine, engine room, bridge hits. Awesome. Not sure what this is going to be representing. Maybe when the ship blows up, you stick it on there. I don't know. But this is your movement gauge. I can see it's got up to 3 inches, a 1-inch measurement alignment tool, so you can turn up to 45 degrees. Yeah, very cool. All right. Nothing wrong with what's on here. Rearm, I guess, maybe reloading torpedoes, aircraft, who knows. And here's the mats. I'm not going to unfold these, but kind of reminds me of what I had in the Black Seas. But if you don't have anything else, awesome. You get a couple of mats you can lay down for water. And I would recommend that you lay all of these out to cover your table as much as possible, because on ships this size, more gaming space is better. Alright, so let's take a look at, this is the part, some of you, maybe I should have done these first, I don't know. But here's the ships. And it's all resin, so I don't think any of these parts are like white metal or anything. We're going to snag these. A little cleanup to do. They're not 1000% flat. These aren't too bad though. These aren't as bad as I thought they would be. I'll admit, I'm happy right at the moment with what I have so far. You can see there's a little bit of cleanup to do. Let me just bring it down a little bit more. So trust me, I've seen some other YouTubers unbox and some comments on like Facebook. They were talking about how they opened up their box and things had just like broken or curled so bad or twisted. So I was a little afraid, but this actually is fine. I mean, I think the only, I don't even know if it's a complaint. My buddy, he was like, I'm not getting those. Look, the base is this weird funky donut thing and a cookie base. And I think I felt that way for a while too, but now that I've been looking at these and other people's videos, I'm just used to them. And now I would think they'd look weird if they didn't come with a base. He likes to make his own bases, and he puts them on clear bases so you can see whatever ocean. Because once you paint these, if you put them on different colored play mats, they're going to stand out for sure. So I think he likes putting them on clear bases. But I've grown used to these because sometimes you have to make your own bases or buy them, but the ships come built right on. And they're right at the water line. I think ships I buy from other companies are already kind of waterline. So yeah, I'm used to it now. I'm okay with it. And holding this is a destroyer, and this is nice. This is a nice size destroyer. As you start getting to other scales like 1/2400 or 1/3000, your ships really start to shrink. Really tiny. Eventually your destroyer is like a little speck of metal. So this is pretty good. It's got all these little spikies I'm probably going to have to cut off from their how they make these. But just some clippers should be fine. Clean them up. And these are the Fletchers, so I should have 6 of these. And there's not much, they're sitting mostly flat. There's like maybe a little bit of curl at the ends, but it's not super noticeable, at least for these Fletchers. Maybe we'll see what else we got here. What else is there? Another Fletcher. 6. Is that 7 Fletchers? Oh, no, there's a Hubuki. Alright, let's see. So maybe all the destroyers were put in here. So there should be 3 Hubukis and some Fletchers. So let's see. This was packed by Vass. Thank you. So there's the other Fletchers. Yeah, so these are fine. I can see how a couple of them maybe. And then people say, well, if you stick this in warm enough water, you can kind of partially make this flexible and then shape it how you want, and then stick it in cold water to freeze it in that new shape. So I'll play with it. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. They look okay. One other thing too that I heard is that they use different types of resin, and that the starter kit boxes resin is not as good as, say, like their white resin with so it's like a real hit and miss. Like I can see there's some colorations here, so maybe it's the same resin, but batch number 5 is slightly different than batch number 6. But I think from what I've seen, once you paint these things up, they look fine. They look fine. I don't see having to add any turrets to that. So this is more like maybe some towers and stuff. So those guns aren't going to rotate. But there's some destroyers. I'm not sure. I think maybe the torpedoes is what gives these a higher point value, because there's only 3. So there's 6 American destroyers and 3 Japanese destroyers. So there we go. Let me set all that off to the side. Here comes Japanese ships. Alright, my buddy Vass did these again. I've never met them, but they're my friend today because they packed my ships. Here we got some of the same little tower bits, crane. Yeah, it's gonna. I gotta be careful cutting that stuff off and then trimming it. There's a little bit of flash, but I don't think it's anything that's horrible to deal with. But we'll cut those, trim them. So yeah, here we got the Kumano. Trying to read it there, Kumano. And these pretty much, I think, can universally go to all of those. Hurutaka. Yeah, I got lots of little parts to clip off there. Don't cut too deep, because you see these little spiky parts there. And again, I'm checking to see how flat they are. They're okay. Probably gets that bend in the drying process. But again, if I know you're looking top down, so you probably can't see the bend, but it's very slight. I don't think I'm unhappy. I think it's fine. You know, I might try the heat trick just to see if I can make them perfectly flat, but knowing me, I would overdo it, and then they would be warped the other way. So here's the actual Mogami. So I think the Kumano and the Mogami are both the Mogami class. You can see like this model here, the actual Mogami, is a lot crisper in the cast and the details. Lot crisper compared to this one. This one, I still see details, but it seems more blobbish than this one. So there definitely is some differences in the quality between the models, but I think you can cover some of that up in painting. Yeah, there's some slight differences between them too. I can see that possibly 2 anti-aircraft gun mounts in the back that this one doesn't have. So they're definitely not exactly the same ship, but I can tell one has a crisper cast than the other. But we'll paint it and see how good they turn out. And then you've got the Hurutaka, which looks okay as well. Again, we'll see if we can paint them up to look good. So there's some cruisers right there. And the Mogami, that is my favorite Japanese cruiser. I just think that has a lot of guns. I think it's cool looking. So yeah, so even at a distance, I can see that the Mogami has a really nice crisp cast, and some of these destroyers have the crisper cast than others. But overall, I think they're going to be serviceable. Then we got some U.S. ships. And so far, nothing has been broken. I'm very glad. Very glad. These turned out great. Now, yeah, since these are hand-packed, I'm pretty sure someone did not purposefully pack a broken model into a pack. If you got one, I'm not trying to downplay the fact that someone may have gotten broken ships, but I'm like, yeah, look, if a person is checking out these and packing them, something else has caused them to break, and that's a shame. But so far, everything has come out good. Okay, this USS Chicago, I don't know if you can see me pressing on that. That's got, to me, that's noticeable. That's got noticeable bends. That might be the first one I try to heat up and bend into shape. Because, yeah, I'm holding it. It's bent. Alright, that one's bent. That one's got some to it. Not too bad. I mean, you know, I think we can fix it. Now, this one is mostly flat. Of them, yeah. Alright, if I was okay, like if I said, I'm okay with these. This one, though, is pretty noticeable. But I don't think it's a game breaker. I think I might do the warm water trick. Although I gotta be careful because I've also heard if you do the warm water trick, they might break. So I'm a little worried, but I'll try it out. I think they'll be fine. Okay, so this part of the video is the unboxing and sharing some stuff. I think I'll pause it here, come back and make a part 2 and share why. The benefits. So this already went 30 minutes. We'll come back with an addendum and talk about some reasons why I picked this up.